Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday, and welcome to Let's Play Every Day. I'm Tim McNiffen. Each and every day, I have the opportunity to welcome in influencers from Minnesota's business, sports, and entertainment communities to take on the sports talkers of the day, whether they're easy or not, depending upon what sports you followed this past weekend. Some easier to talk about than others. These people show up. They're going to give you their best takes on what went down and why. Should mention that today's show is sponsored by our good friends at Northern Lids. Northern Lids custom patch hats, knit caps, fabulous stuff. Now, I got to send a little warning here. I had a little discussion with Nick Gross over the weekend about the hat business and all the rest of it being affected by the supply chain. So if you want to get your Northern Lids stuff by Christmas, I'm just saying you probably want to move and book earlier rather than later because you don't want to be left without. See Willi Miles here with us this morning, former college athlete and coach, now touring observationist. Do you like that?
Observationist, absolutely.
Yeah, all
Sounds
right.
creepy, but yeah, sure.
I came up with that myself. You're an observationist, best known as America's everyday comedian. Tanishka Mhaskar, college student at Case Western University. Tanishka creates content in the Minnesota Vikings for Climb the Pocket and zone coverage, and the wild content for Hockey Wilderness. And Darrell Thompson is, of course, the president of Boulder Options, which is an innovative organization focusing on healthy youth development. He is also the radio analyst for the University of Minnesota football games. It was a rough weekend for Minnesota football. I mean, sure, we had the Gophers on Saturday, the Vikings yesterday. So bad even that St. Thomas went out and got roughed up in the Patriot League by Davidson. So you know it was a bad weekend for the locals if that's the case. So we could start with the Minnesota United putting in 3 goals and then hanging on to scratch out a playoff spot. But I don't know about much any of us know about MLS. Tanishka, you're kind of nodding your head. Are you a Loons fan? Do you know about this?
Well, I know that they might get the 5 seed, so I guess that could be exciting for them. Um, I I watched a couple games a few years ago when they were in the playoffs, and we all know how that ended, just like every Minnesota sport. But like I that would be good for them, especially after how they started.
0-4, and they become the first team since 1999 in MLS history to go 0-4 and still make the playoffs, probably saving the job of head coach Adrian Heath. They've got 2 weeks off. They are the 5 seed. They will play at Portland in 2 weeks. But folks, I got all of that straight from the Star Tribune and other websites. I know nothing about the intricacies of the game. If any of you guys do, feel free to weigh in. But that's
I'm
all
just
I
saying,
got.
if you're winning, we're gonna ride a winner, baby. You're in the playoffs. Get me a
We need
loon.
that.
Get me a loon sweat top. I'll wear that bad boy, right? I'm riding. Like, come on, baby. Let's go. We're going all the way. What? I don't even know what the championship's called, but I'm going. I'll be at the game. Give me some tickets. Get me a jersey. I'm all in.
No,
I already got a T-shirt. I got a T-shirt, and I'm just waiting to wear it, man. I'm just waiting to wear it.
Put it on.
Are you guys familiar with what their victory song is?
No, but I want to learn it. I'm ready to learn it.
Well, I'll tell you. Okay, do me a favor. We'll discuss this at a later date because their team song is a song by the band Oasis, and it's called Wonderwall. And it was a hit in the 90s, and it was one of those songs where I would like be driving in the car and I suddenly wanted to drive headfirst into the car that was coming towards me when Wonderwall came on. Few songs, and these 2 idiots, the Gallagher brothers, they're like Madonna. They're like so talented, but so good at getting in the media and the press. And so apparently some guy who's with the organization was learning to play the guitar. That was the only song he could play. So we played it after a big game that they won. They had some organic, things. Somebody filmed it, and then the rest of the fans piled onto it. So it's become their victory song. So it's sort of like, could you just like pick almost anything other than that? For me, so it's triggering.
Well, here, my treat with them is the Loon was I got to tour their facility. It is absolutely state of the art.
Are you talking about the not the training facility out at the United in Blaine where they train?
No,
You're talking about the stadium, Allianz Field.
Oh yeah, beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. Not a bad seat in the place.
No, and you know what the trick there to me is, Will, is that they've got all the state of the art stuff. They've got all the tech, and they've got the amenities for the hospitality all the way down to the locker rooms. 21st century, but you walk out and there's such like timeless feel to that. You could be like in Munich or in London or something like that, watching a game. They've got that old school feel to the pitch.
Yeah.
Am I right?
It's crazy. Yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah, they
Absolutely.
nailed that one. Yeah,
Yeah,
for
they
sure. All right. Well, we've spent a lot of time talking about more than we have cumulatively, I think, on this program to this date.
Go
So
Loons.
FC United,
Give
the
them some love.
Loons are in the playoffs now. Now to the rough stuff. Well, maybe not. Let's talk about your first place Minnesota Wild, a team that came from not one but 2 goals down, not once but twice on Saturday night to win in overtime in Pittsburgh. And then they go and score 4 third-period goals last night to come from behind yet again on their way to a 5-2 win over the visiting New York Islanders. Willie, when you have 8 wins as a team and 6 of them come when you've been trailing, what does that say, good or bad, about this Minnesota Wild team?
Well, it says a couple of things, Tim. I mean, it's a hard way. It's a hard way to win, but on the other hand, it delivers a crushing, sinking, awful feeling to your opponent, and that's the good part of it. But it is not a long-term strategy that you want to be doing for the rest of the season. But it's working for them right now. But I don't subscribe to that type of. I think that's a way to win a game or two here and there. But if you're going to do that all season, man, that puts a lot of stress on your players, your coaches, and your fans. It's hard. Especially Vikings fans, man. We need a win. Like not Viking fans, but just Minnesota fans is what I meant to say. We need a win where we can sit back and enjoy the popcorn, enjoy the candy, and, know that we can leave early and relax. You know what I mean? We don't have that. And our teams, it's just like they live on the edge, and it is just not a winning strategy. It hasn't been for us ever, and it won't be ever.
Tanishka, so we had this game Saturday night where it was remarkable that they actually pulled off what no team ever really pulls off, pulling the goalie with 5 minutes left in the game and scoring 2 goals. How nice was it to do what Willie's talking about? Just go out last night and just score some conventional goals in quick fashion, and all of a sudden they've got a lead. What? They've got a lead, and then add the empty netters and not have to have the last-second heroics or overtime to get the win.
Since I was watching that one after the Vikings game, it was very, very refreshing. But it's great because I think that might have been the most complete third period they've played probably all season, because it didn't come down to the last few minutes. And especially after they got the first empty netter, then you were like, okay, this is I can chill for once. So that was good. But yeah, I think just like what Willie said, I don't think it's a very sustainable strategy to always be trailing and still find a way out. Yeah, they're resilient and it's been working so far, but the defense, the structure's got to be better. I thought it was better last night, but just in general, that third period was the kind of consistency they need, especially defensively, just throughout the season, because I feel like their luck would run out sooner rather than later if they kept depending on late game heroics.
Yeah, for sure. So last night's game featured the return of Zach Parise, local legend, who was unceremoniously let go this past summer. There were plenty of Parise jerseys in the crowd last night, and there was nothing but appreciation showed for the former alternate captain. Darrell, you are another local legend. How nice is it when you can show a former player the love, but you still walk away with the win?
I think it's a great thing, and I think probably the main piece is that we did Minnesota, and fans in general respect and appreciate a great player that played for them and Zach gave his all, for the Wild. So it's great that he's here. It's great to recognize him. He deserves it. And, I'm sure he'll play, in 10 years, he'll be playing in golf tournaments and doing appearances and things like that. So I think it's just a great thing. It's a fun thing. Win or lose, it's actually great, but it's even better, little sweeter taste when you win. You can, on the news, everyone's kind of like, oh yeah, Zach's back. It was great to have him. He's with New York now, et cetera, et cetera. So, but it's just great to have him back and to pay our respects to him.
Great guy, did a lot in the community while he was here. Good to see him having some success for the Islanders. That team is no joke. But now we have to get on to the tough stuff, Darrell Thompson. And I want you to know, all of you guys, the stuff you say resonates with me. But I was having a Viking meltdown last week, said some negative things, and you kind of called me to task for it, to say that's the kind of thinking that we can't have. We have to stay positive and stuff.
Right.
So I'm like, oh no, I'm doing my yard chores over the weekend going, I got to be more positive. And then I thought about you after that Gopher game Saturday. And I'm like, could you take your own medicine after that game? Because that had to have tested your mettle.
It did, it did. And I was thinking going to that game, it's not a sure game. I also think Belema's a really, I know he's a very good coach. And we were out coached last weekend. Coach Fleck admitted it. The team admitted it. And they out coached us, they out schemed us, and they got us, a little fat and happy, so it was painful to watch the entire game. I didn't feel like Bowling Green, like we're just going to come back on one drive, because they were doing things that were really hard to stop, and then when a team keeps running the ball, when you're running the ball and you're ripping off 7 yards of carry, 7 plus 7 is 14. That's the first down, every single time. You know what I mean, Willie? Willie's a football coach. No need to change. Don't need to get fancy, start whipping it around. We'll just hand it.
That math checks out with me. That's good math.
Yeah. Thank you. Exactly. So yeah, it was tough, Tim. It was tough.
Yeah, no, I thought about that a lot. Now comes bacon week, as Darrell calls it. Did you have your bacon today?
Oh, I did, man. I told him I had to go out. I had the little yesterday, but I didn't feel like posting. I was still recovering from Illinois. But today I had a couple strips, I'm pacing myself. Last year I went a little over the top, and one day I ate, I think, like 8 or 9 strips of bacon, and I literally felt like bacon grease was dripping from my temple at about 2:00 in the afternoon. So I'm taking it a little slower this week. I'm going to work my way up to maybe 5 or 6 strips at the end of the week.
We're getting a nice BLT midday. It doesn't always have to be with breakfast, my friend.
I mean, I'm thinking I might need more bacon this year. I just got to spread it out, because I don't have a tremendous record with bacon so far. I've been doing the bacon thing for like 7 years. I just kind of tallied it up yesterday. I think we've only won like 1 or 2 games. I got to look it up to see exactly what it is, but we've not won a lot. So I think I'd eat more bacon and spread it out more and, pace myself.
Well, the reference to Bacon Week it's a lead up to the game Saturday at Iowa with Floyd of Rosedale, the Bronze Pig, going to the winner between the Gophers and the Iowa Hawkeyes. With Saturday's loss, the Gophers, well, they just let Iowa, Wisconsin, and yes, even Purdue forget about their own past stumbles, their own problems, because the door to the Big Ten West is now wide freaking open. Willie, if you are PJ Fleck and you just got out coached last weekend, how do you get your team past Saturday's letdown and believing that they can actually win next Saturday and get that pig in Iowa City?
Well, look, I said this before, and it's when you're a coach, man, it is tough to go in there after you've lost a game like that and then try to get your team up to go. You got to go to Iowa, man. And look, PJ Fleck is 0-4 against Iowa in his career. 0-4 with the Gophers. I don't even know what you say to him other than just to say, look, guys, what happened, against Illinois? We can't let that happen again. Minnesota teams they got to cowboy up, man. These guys just don't know how to come back from a devastating. To me, that was a devastating loss. It was they had a chance there to cement themselves and put some space between them and the second place. You know what I mean? They had a chance there, and they blew it. Absolutely blew it. You got to tell your team at this point, look, at some point you got to say this is do or die. Either we're going to be winners or we're just going to be happy with being a 500 team and make it to a mediocre bowl game. That's the end of it. What do you guys want to do? I mean, if that's what you want to do, then that's just what we're going to do. Because I'm not going to stand here and give you – this man is a motivator. He's an inspirational speaker. He's a talker. He's got to have something that he hasn't said yet that to inspire these young men to want to go out there and motivate themselves to play hard, and to inspire his coaches to want to motivate themselves to call better plays and to be better prepared. I get it. You're down a couple of running backs, but at the end of the day, man, you won a couple of games without those guys. So what's the difference? You got a 7 Boeing 77 on that offensive line. Use them and let's feed them more bacon. I guess I don't know. Get them to smell it. Just hang it over their beds at night so they know what bacon smells like and gonna want it. So I guess that's what I would do. Feed them more bacon.
All right, Tanishka, the X's and O's. Can the Gophers win next Saturday at Iowa City? And to do so, what do they have to do to get that pig?
Well, I think they definitely can win. I was just so inconsistent. And I mean, to be fair, so are the Gophers. So I think just that itself has a lot up in the air with it. But I think they just need to go back to figuring out how to run the ball. Like even though they've been down a bunch of running backs, it's been good. The running game has still been fine in like the previous weeks, but last weekend it wasn't there. And just offensively as a whole, the passing attack was awful. Tanner Morgan did not play well again. And it all just comes down to being able to just put points up, and they've done it in the past. So that's basically, they just need to get the run game going to get Morgan more comfortable, I'd say.
Darrell, I'm just going to go off script if I can, because you had the opportunity to watch the game and I was not there, and all I see was what's on TV. Yeah. So where does the responsibility for what happened on Saturday live from a player's perspective? Is Tanishka saying Tanner Morgan, it was hard to watch?
Well, I mean, I think part of it is, some of it's Tanner Morgan, maybe a little bit play calling, but it's also, we just kind of, we're playing a similar teams. The next couple, Iowa is similar to Illinois. Illinois is similar to Wisconsin. We're playing, so it was a good tune-up last week and a good wake-up. Tanner Morgan typically responds well, so we'll see how he responds, and we'll see how the team responds to going into a completely hostile environment, and Kinnick Stadium. Iowa, the tradition-rich Hornet, loud music, silver and black. It's like a fun, intimidating. Like when you play a basketball game, that's what it's like. It's like a basketball environment because they're only like 6 feet away from you on the sideline. You go out of bounds, you can go up in the stands. I mean, you're just it's a fun place to play. It's also, it can be intimidating, but it should be a fun game on Saturday. I feel like this is an old school. They're going to run it. We're going to run it. Let's see who wants it the most.
Got you. All right, folks, whether we like it or not, we do have to talk about the Vikings. And there's so many things to talk about, like how this team always comes out like world beaters, then seems to go into a coma for the next 2.5, 3 quarters. DT, this team played without 4 defensive starters, recorded 2 interceptions, got a touchdown from special teams, and still managed to blow a 14-point lead in the second half. I mean, have you ever seen anything like this?
Well, in a way, yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it out of, like the old Buccaneers, the Chiefs of and other teams that were struggling. But it's also like, to me, and I've talked about it here and other places, it's a confidence thing. When you don't feel good, you don't play good, and you're waiting for the other shoe to drop, then that shoe is going to drop and it's going to kick you. And that's what's going on right now. I mean, I don't mean we can talk about all these other things and COVID. That young defensive back, he played well. I was like, well, maybe we don't even need Harrison Smith. This guy's, he's jumping routes. He's reading stuff. I'm like, oh my God. I said, what's his name again? He's pretty damn
Can't
good.
buy him.
He's pretty damn good. And the guy returned the kickoff. I said, oh, there's actually space. We got room. We can run the ball. We got Cook, Unfortunately, they came rolling back, So it's it's everybody gets paid, as they say. And, that was a tough one yesterday. And Jackson he's the man. It's really, really difficult, to cover a guy who passes as well as he passes and can run as well as he runs, because we've not had anyone like that maybe since Michael Vick.
Yeah, no, he's very, very talented, especially if you're going to be on the field for as much as that defense was on the field. Sooner or later, he's going to hurt you. After the Vikings finally gave up that lead at 31-24 in the fourth, they got a 1-yard TD pass from Cousins to Adam Thielen to pull within a point at 31-30 with just over a minute to play. Now, I know hindsight is 20/20, But I swear to God, as I'm hanging Christmas lights in my front yard, I'm saying to myself, we're going for the win here, right? Because if you're on the road, you go for the win. Also, factor in the fact that that the kicker on the other side is the best who's ever done this, especially at this point in time in the game. So, of course, we go for the tie, which we get, and we do not lose. So, Willi Miles, I'm wondering, were you watching and were you thinking the same thing that I was thinking?
100%. 100%. Look, you're in hostile territory, man. You got to go. You got nothing to lose at this point. If you're going to lose, you're going to lose. But lose trying to win. It goes back to, I think, what Adam Thielen said the other day. The Vikings play to not lose. They don't play to win. And you got to be cutthroat when you're playing a team like that. Because you're right. You got that guy. Number 8 over there is no joke. And you got one of the best field goal kickers in the league. That guy just needs to get across the 50, and he's good to go. Mm-hmm. He's got legs look like a bodybuilder.
And clutch.
He's very clutch. And yeah, I mean, it's I don't get it. I know people get upset, and you want to keep your hopes up and stuff, but you can't do that with the Vikings. It will have you drinking heavily. It will have you cleaning out your gutters when there's no leaves in your gutter just to go outside. I've seen my wife get up and go in the kitchen and start making chili when we don't even have the ingredients for chili at home because she's so frustrated with the game. And it's like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what they do to you. And then they come and do these press conferences afterwards, and there's nothing but just a ball of excuses. You got to play to win. And sometimes they just play to stay in the game, don't lose it. Well, you can't win it unless you play to win, period.
Yeah. So, Tanishka, we saw this team, it seemed like they were playing to win early on. We saw them actually throw the ball deep, and nobody on the Ravens thought that play was coming because they hadn't seen it in 5 games. So there was that. Keenan Nwangwu finally got in the game, and he got the kick return, and they used him on a fake on punt, and he showed his speed. Maybe run a jet sweep to him, maybe try getting the ball to him again. I mean, on one hand, we see that the Vikings did these innovative, for them, things. On the other hand, we saw nothing between halfway through the first quarter and the end of the game offensively.
The offense is basically, in my opinion, the reason that game yesterday was lost. You can look at the numbers and I guess be like the defense gave up 34, but they were on the field for 46 minutes compared to the offense being on 23 minutes. They had 98 defensive snaps, which is just insane. And some players like Barr and Griffin played all of those snaps. I'm pretty sure, as dating last week, we had the third highest 3-and-out percentage in the league. So they just can't sustain drives offensively. They needed the fake punt to keep it going, and I think they went 3-and-out after that fake punt too. So they just can't put up points. Like, after the scripted stuff is over, that offense just can't get going. And when they do throw the ball, they end up throwing more to Ham and Conklin than Thielen and Jefferson, which just, I don't get that. I really don't. Thielen and Jefferson combined had 10 targets yesterday. Conklin alone had 7. So it's just, you want to get the ball in your best player's hands, and they don't do that. And they keep feeding the ball to Alexander Mattison on 2nd and long for absolutely no reason, because anything to Mattison is basically a wasted down at this point. It's just so counterproductive. And their running game is awful. I could keep going on about the offense, but
Sounds like it.
And the quarterback, I don't even want to get started with him, but we
had half the season left ahead of us, Tanishka.
I don't know. Unfortunately, he just checks down even if somebody is open downfield, and you can't even blame the offensive line. They gave up just 6 pressures and no sacks yesterday. So it's honestly a collective failure, but I think at the end of the day, the offense not being able to sustain drives is the biggest killer, because you can't expect a defense down 4 of their top 5 defenders to hold against Lamar Jackson for so long anyway.
And why were they down 4 of their top defenders? We knew about some of them that were going to be out, but 90 minutes before the game, we found out that Harrison Smith was not going to play in this game because he was put in the NFL's COVID-19 protocol. And Harrison Smith is a player who has not gotten the vaccination. Now, Aaron Rodgers, and rightly so, received a lot of criticism nationally and including in the pregame shows, especially on Fox, where I would encourage you to look up what Terry Bradshaw had to say about it. But Jimmy Johnson weighed in, Strahan weighed in, Howie Long weighed in. Nobody in a positive way for Aaron Rodgers. My question, Willie, does Harrison Smith, even though he did what the league told him to do, he told him he was unvaccinated, he was separated from his teammates, he's been doing all the things he's supposed to do, but now he's got COVID, was not available. Does he owe his teammates and or Viking fans an apology for not being there to play when this team arguably needed him the most?
In my opinion, absolutely. I mean, you're choosing. Look, if you play team sports, you understand that your team relies on you. You're a starter. You're an absolute starter, or you're a backup. A backup shows up ready to play. If something happens to a starter, you'll be ready to play. But if you're a leader on the defense, you need to be. Look, when I was at St. Cloud State, Keith Nord was our captain. We followed 49 out that tunnel every Saturday. There is no doubt in my mind he would have done whatever it takes to play, to be ready every game. You are needed every game if you're a starter. Harrison Smith is a veteran. He's been around a long time. Look, can you get COVID if you're vaccinated? Absolutely. People can forgive you for that. But when you're not, just because you're following protocol in the NFL doesn't mean, I don't know what you're doing away from the game. You see what I'm saying? And now you show up and now you're not available for this game. You've let your team down when everybody talks about we need to do better. We need to be we. And it's till it comes to time to do something for the team, then it's me. You know what I mean? So you got to put that crap aside. Either you're a team player or you're not. And to me, that's not being a good captain. It's not being a good teammate, and it's not being a good leader. If you can't do the things it takes for you to show up every Saturday or every Sunday and be ready to play, period.
DT, you played in this league. You know, you've been in that locker room situation. I am so disgusted by these guys, and I know this treads into so many areas of our life and where we are as a country. So I'm trying to be, am I being unfair or unreasonable in my disdain for players like Rodgers and Harrison Smith? My question to you is, how would you handle the situation if you were playing today and these guys were your teammates? I'm not asking would you confront them, but I'm saying that how would you feel about this?
Well, I think it's to me, it's really, really frustrating. You know, you try to get people to do things. I remember when the 401k program came in the NFL, and I was trying to convince the guys that, hey, you know what, here's the 401k. They're going to match it dollar for dollar up to, 10% of your salary, et cetera, and guys wouldn't do it. And finally, you're just like, you know what, that's your thing. And if you think you're going to play forever and make like a zillion dollars, you're not. And this is different because this does hurt other people. It does impact the team. It does impact the community. And it's interesting. So I just kind of go back to like research and common sense. And if I had something unique or weird happen to me, I would say, well, I would trust the Cleveland Clinic. I would trust the University of Minnesota. I would trust the Mayo Clinic. I probably wouldn't call Joe Rogan and ask him for his opinion on whether or not I should have my rare lung disease looked at. So I mean, I just kind of come back to me, it's that simple, but it's not simple for other people because there's other reasons and they haven't seen enough of it. Well, there's thousands of doctors. YouTube and other folks are not the resource to find out whether or not you should use ivermectin or one of those other kind of homeopathic. I don't know, call it that's not really a homeopathic remedy. That's just like it's a horse medicine.
It's a cow dewormer.
Yeah, it's a cow dewormer. So I mean, if you got worms, it's a good thing to get to have. So I mean, it's frustrating and kind of disheartening to everyone.
All right, you guys, we're up against the clock. That's where we're going to leave it. I knew we were going to end on that. And so like to come back with the top 5, and something like that, I thought, so I pushed that aside and we'll come back to that at a later date. Want to mention that both the Golden Gopher men's and women's basketball teams opened their respective seasons in earnest this week. And again, congratulations to Adrian Heath and the Loons. And we did, if you're just joining us, we did talk about FC United off the top, making the playoffs, and we're interested to see how they do in the next in 2 weeks. And we'll try to learn something more about them in the meantime. So, Tanishka, are you writing anything on that game yesterday? And if so, what's your angle?
Man, I just offense. I just sustain drives, play calling, quarterback, everything offense. But it should be interesting because I'll probably focus it more on the Chargers this week. So both teams have a notorious history of trying to blow games in the fourth quarter. So Sunday should be fun.
And where can people find your work?
A zone coverage.
Got it. Darrell Thompson, what's going on with you?
We got Give It a Max week. That's a big deal for us. And then also we're always need mentors. You know, we got a big push here for the year end for people to think about wanting to be a mentor with our organization. So we'd love for someone to consider that, because we have about 6 to 8 kids on our waiting list right now that would really benefit from having a positive adult involved in their life. All you got to do is be above the age of 21.
And
that's all.
But you're not looking for like old people. You're looking for like
we
younger people.
look for someone like you, a leader in the community, someone distinguished. Anyone who can that would make bacon for me, I consider that.
See, Willie, what do you got going on?
This weekend, I will be back at my alma mater. We're getting some sort of an award. We're getting honored for our Triple Crown winning basketball team that I was coaching. I was assistant coach there for our Triple Crown 86, 87, 88 championship team. So we're getting honored this weekend. And Friday we're retiring a jersey from one of our longtime players, Dan Hagan, that played back in the 70s, late 70s at St. Cloud State. So I'll be up in St. Cloud for the weekend. I'm kind of a big deal up there, Tim.
Hey, well, everywhere. Come on now. So I was communicating with the former coach that I coached with, who is coaching on Delano, and I said, "Tell Barry Wohler his name came up on our show a couple of weeks ago, and you threw that name out like I wouldn't know." I mean, he was like a Darrell Thompson. I mean, I remember watching the news and every week waiting to see what Barry Wohler from Bird Island, Lake Lillian had done. You know, first on the football field, and then on the basketball court, because he was amazing. I didn't see it. The numbers just go, man, he must be the best ever. So just know that he was going to be informed that you were throwing his name out there.
Always, man. Barry's still my bud, man.
Barry's a man. There's no doubt about that. All right, you guys, thank you so much. I want to thank our panelists today. And of course, big thanks to Nick Gross and the Northern Lids people for their continued support. This is Let's Play Every Day as part of the Let's Play Sports Network. Thank you for watching, perhaps listening. Have a great day. And if you are given the choice to either A, sit on the sidelines, or B, to participate, folks, you got to play, right? Play every day.